Okay, good. Namaste to everyone. Okay. Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Mangalacharanam Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Narayanam Padmabhuvam Vasishtam Shaktim Cha Tataputra Parasharam Cha Vyasam Shukam Gaudapadam Mahantam Govinda Yogindra Atha Asya Shishyam Shri Shankaracharyam Atha Asya Padmapadam Cha Hasta Malakam Cha Shishyam Tam Totakam Vartikakaram Anyana Asmad Gurun Santatam Anatosmi Om Sahna Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. अथ श्रीमद् भगवद गीता ध्यान श्लोकाः ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन घ्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैल पूर्ण प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्स सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनम् देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम् नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितम् लोके सज्जन षट्पदैरहरहः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद् भारत पंकजं कलिमल प्रद्वासिनः श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः. Chapter 13. Srimad Bhagavad Gita त्रयोदशोऽध्यायः. अथ त्रयोदशोऽध्यायः. श्री भगवान् उवाच इदं शरीरं कौन्तेय क्षेत्रमित्यभिधीयते एतद्यो वेत्ति तं प्राहुः क्षेत्रज्ञ इति तद्विदः क्षेत्रज्ञं चापि मां विद्धि सर्वक्षेत्रेषु भारत क्षेत्रक्षेत्रज्ञयोर्ज्ञानं यत्तज्ज्ञानं मतं मम तत्क्षेत्रं यच्छयादृक् यद्विकारी यतश्च यत् स च यो यत्प्रभावश्च तत्समासेन मे शृणु. ऋषिभिर्बहुधा गीतं छन्दोभिर्विविधैः पृथक् ब्रह्मसूत्रपदैश्चैव हेतुमद्भिर्विनिश्चितैः महाभूतान्यहङ्कारो बुद्धिरव्यक्तमेव च इन्द्रियाणि दशैकञ्च पञ्चचेन्द्रिययोगचराः इच्छा द्वेषः सुखं दुःखं संघातश्चेतना धृतिः एतत् क्षेत्रं समासेन सविकारमुदाहृतम् अमानित्वम् अदम्भित्वम् अहिंसा शान्तिरर्जवम् आचार्योपासनं शौचं स्थैर्यम् आत्मविनिग्रहः इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम् अनहङ्कार एव च जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि दुःखदोषानुदर्शनम् असक्तिरनभिष्वङ्गः पुत्रदार गृहादिषु नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम् इष्टानिष्टोपपत्तिषु मयि चानन्ययोगेन भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम् अरतिर्जनसंसदि अध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वं तत्त्वं ज्ञानार्थदर्शनम् एतत् ज्ञानमिति प्रोक्तम् अज्ञानं यदतोऽन्यथा ज्ञेयं यत्तत् प्रवक्ष्यामि यज्ञात्वामृतमश्नुते अनादिमत्परं ब्रह्म न सततन्नासदुच्यते सर्वतः
We'll stop here. So we will continue with this verse today. Gneyam yattat pravakshami. So in the last class we were discussing the jnana. What makes a jnana? What is jnana? Basically is described in the verses 7 through 11. Amanitvam, adambitvam. So all the characteristics that are described here are the characteristics displayed by the person who has attained to Atma Jnana. Starting from Amaditvam to Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam, those 5 verses. There are about 20 different characteristics. So for a person who wants to become a Jnani, he has to practice those characteristics that are displayed by the Jnani. So amanitvam, where we start, where he does not seek honor. Adambitvam, he has no vanities. Ahimsa, non-violence. Kshanti and arjavam. Kshanti is forgiveness. Kshama, arjavam is simplicity. And then acharyopasanam, you have great respect for the guru. Shaucham, internal and external cleanliness. Stairya, that is resoluteness. Atma Vinigraha, controlling the sense organs. We have gone through in detail, but I'm just capping it up here. So Indriyarteshu Vairagyam, it is the sense organs that are part of the Prakriti that we'll see later coming in this chapter. So the sense organs, you have to have dispassion towards them, not go after the sense organs. And then it is the sense organs, experience through the sense organs is what creates the ahankara or the ego. So I am doing it, I know this, I enjoy this. These are all statements of ego. And so that if we control the indriyarteshu vairagyam, dispassion in the sense organs, ahankara kind of recedes slowly. And then janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha dosha anudarshanam. All these transmigration, birth, death, old age, and disease, these are all we have to see defects in them, he says, Krishna. That only when you see defects in them, you become disgusted with that, and then the indriyarteshu vairagyam, the sense organ association becomes less and less. And in that same, once we know that the birth, deaths, etc. are defective, then asakti ranabhishwangaha putra dara grihadishu nityancha samachittatvam ishta anishta upapattishu. So be disinterested in all activities like family and friends and all those things. These are contrary to what we are experiencing now, but we are only learning to understand what jnana is, and we have to make a change in our behavior pattern if we should want to be a jnani. So maicha ananya yogena bhaktiravyabicharini vivikta desha sevitvam aratirjana samsadi. This distracted devotion towards me. And avyabhicharini means here not worshipping any other god. I will come to this later on, this particular phrase, but that is what is required. Vivikta desha sevitvam, that is being lonely places. Aratihi jana samsadi, kind of do not enjoy parties or groups of people. Where groups of people congregate, don't show an interest towards that, because those people's interests are different, the jnanis' interests are different, and therefore you have to follow what is the requirement for a jnani and what you want to practice. If those people want to enjoy the life around and have a group of people like marketplace, gambling places, etc., those are all considered like not helpful for jnana. And then the last verse, the 11th verse is adhyatma jnana nityatvam tattva jnanartha darshanam etat jnanamiti proktam ajnanam yadatonyata. So adhyatma jnana, always thinking about the atma. Nityatvam adhyatma jnana. Jnana is what? Atma, anatma. There are only two entities in this universe. And the entity that is related to Atma, that is Adhyatma Jnana. The knowledge associated with Atma is Adhyatma Jnana. Always keep your mind focused on this Adhyatma Jnana. And then Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam, to be able to see the Tattva Jnana as it is, the truth. Sattva is the truth. The truth is Atma is the only true absolute entity. And everything else is derived from that, and therefore that tattva jnanartha darshanam, all these qualities from amanitvam to tattva jnanartha darshanam is what is called jnana. This is the traits, behavior patterns that takes us to jnana. That is jnana. Etat jnanamiti proktam. All this is said to be jnana. Anything opposed to this is ajnana. We are going to be in this world of ignorance, going through the cycle of birth and death, if we don't practice these things. That is basically the message in these 5 verses. Now let me come to this one. Mai chananya yogena bhaktirav vyabhicharini. When we came to this bhaktirav vyabhicharini, devotion in only me and not any other gods. This is what we discussed in the last class. And then after the class, I got a call from one of the class participants. And this person was very disturbed, it looked like. And then he also indicated, no, so many other people feel the same way like I feel, that we are worshipping so many other gods. And by telling that you worship me alone, Vasudeva, Krishna, should we not worship those gods? Very fairly disturbed with that. Now, this is the issue here. We are looking for the highest prize, that is the jnana. And that jnana cannot be given by other gods. You are, like the gods that we worship, Varuna, Indra, Yama, Ganesha. If we worship Ganesha for removing the obstacles, that is, Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. That is what we say for Ganesha. When we are saying Vidyaramba, we are generally thinking there that we are looking for the transactional knowledge. Now, if it is Atma Jnana, if it is Atma Vidya, then you have to worship Ganesha as none other than Krishna. That is the importance. There is what is called a dependent God and an independent God. The independent God is what Krishna is saying, I am. That independent God can only give moksha. The dependent gods have less power. Like if I want to give an example, if you want $100, let us say, you go to a person who has $1 million. You can ask, I want $100. You can get $100 from him. But if you want $2 million and you go to a person who has only $1 million, obviously you cannot get the $2 million from him. In order to get $2 million, you have to go to a billionaire or somebody like that. So there is a power within each god, and that god cannot give more than what that power he or she has. Durga, we worship Lakshmi, Saraswati. These are all gods that have certain powers, and we seek those powers from them. And if I am interested in Atma Jnana, then that Atma Jnana I can get only from Sri Krishna, Parabrahma, Narayana. These are all the independently existing divinities. So there's only one person called different names in different Shiva. These are all called different names in different contexts. And this one God is the Narayana, and he alone or she alone can give that knowledge, that self-knowledge. Narayana, what is Narayana? Naraha Ayanaha, the path of Nara, human beings towards the goal is Narayana. That is how that Narasya Ayanaha. Anyway, this is the gist of what that Bhakti Rav Vyabhicharini means. I have to get, if I have to get the Atma Jnana, there is only one God, and that God alone has to be devoted to completely without any distractions. That is what this verse we have to take from this. Now, what I did was I put together a few other verses that relate to this, and I will just go briefly. This we have already studied, but just recapping. So here, Kamaistaistair hritagnyanaha prapadyante anya devataha tam tam niyamamasthaya prakritya niyataha swaya. So these people, their intellect, kamaihi hritaha jnanaha, their desires delude them. The intellect is deluded by their desires and being motivated by their nature. Their nature is of desiring something. That swaya prakritya niyataha, they are guided by their own nature. Tam tam niyamam astaya, undertaking the respective obligation. Obligation means I want to make a living. I need to feed the family. Therefore, I have to go to, I have to get the resources. And who do I go to? I go to the God who can give that. So, anya devataha prapadyante, they worship other divinities. So, these other divinities are worshipped for a definite purpose. not for Atma Jnana. That is what he hears. He punctuates that by this saying, Kamaihi taitaihi ahrita jnanaha prapadyanti anya devataha. You go to other gods based on the desire you want. If you want the Atma Jnana, you have to come to me, Avyabhicharini. That's one verse that can be related with this. Now, why do people go to these other gods, like for getting some of their needs? Now he says Krishna here in the 4th chapter. Wait a minute. Okay. Kangshantaha karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha kshipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. So these people, they want instant gratification. This is what basically this verse we can understand. Kshipram hi manushe loke. They want benefit right away in this human world. Then they go to worship. Here, karmaja, he says, they born out of karma. He karma ja siddhi kshipram bhavati. The benefits out of karma, they accrue sooner than later. And these people, kangshantaha, these people want that kind of seeking outcome of actions. They worship these other gods who can bestow the benefit right away within this life or in the next life. But jnana is not something that can be attained by karma. We have discussed this in previous occasions, and more so in the study of Ramagita. There are about at least a dozen verses that discuss this. Karma cannot get jnana, because karma, why are we doing karma? Because we got this life. This karma we are doing because of the actions of the previous life, and therefore we got an opportunity to do some different karma. That is what the karma gives us. It does not give jnana. It gives us some material benefits, anatma benefits, and therefore this other worshipping gods is acceptable in those circumstances where I'm looking for the material benefits. That's one verse. Now, if I worship those, how do these gods give the benefit that I am seeking from? This he says, ye pyanya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajantya vidhi purvakam. Now, this other gods that they are worshipping, those devotees of other gods, worship endowed with conviction. They worship them with lot of conviction. Yes. And Krishna says ultimately they are worshipping me alone. They are worshipping me through these other gods, avidhi purvakam, indirectly. This is not the straight path to me. They are somehow worshipping these other gods, but these other gods are only my dependents, and I have to approve what they give. They have the power to give, but that comes through my grace. And it's like if I want similarly in the business, if you each let us say vice president is allotted a certain amount of power. If the project costs less than $1 million, you can yourself do the decision. If the project exceeds more than $1 million, you have to come to me for making the decision. So this CEO has given $1 million power to the vice president. So therefore, that vice president, if he has to sanction $1 million, that is coming only because of the CEO giving that power. If the CEO did not give that power, then the vice president has to go to the CEO himself. Like that, the Paramatma has bestowed the power for these gods to give certain benefits if their worship is associated with conviction. In that case, they have to, those gods can give that benefit, and that is also my grace. That is what he's saying here. And then, taya shraddhaya yuktaha tasya aradhanam ihate labate cha tatha kaman mayaiva vihitan hitan. Possessed of such devotion to other gods, those that devotee, tasya aradhanam ihate, worships that deity. Cha tataha mayaiva vihitan, through that divinity decreed by me, that I have allowed that divinity to give you that benefit, tan kamani labate, doubtlessly he acquires those desires, but he does not know it is coming from me. It is not coming from him directly, it is coming from me through him. That is the message that he is giving. So all these various gods don't have the ability to give jnana, and therefore they have to come to me alone with avyabhichari bhakti, undiluted bhakti, undeviated bhakti. That is the message of this verse. I hope if some of you had any confusion about this, this confusion is addressed. And if you still have any doubts about this, you are welcome to question, and we'll see if we can address that. Okay, if you have it now, you are welcome to call it talk right now itself. Otherwise, we'll move on. Okay, we'll move on. And if you still have any questions, you can give me a call, no problem. So, Gneyam Yatat Pravakhyami. Now we are coming to the next verse of the 13th chapter. After understanding Jnana, now we are trying to enter the subject of Jnana, what is to be known. Jnana, we have already discussed what it is. And this Jnana fetches us something. That is Jnana. What is already gotten is Jnana. What is to be, what is already gotten is Jnana. What is the process required to get it? That is Jnana. So, Jneyam yattat pravakshami yajñatva amrutamashnute anadimat param brahma na sattannasa duchyate. Now, this tat pravakshami, I will tell you that yat jneyam, that which is the object of knowledge. If I have to have knowledge, if I'm seeking the knowledge of what? That question comes, and that I am going to tell you. That object of knowledge, what it is, I am going to tell you. In the next 4 or 5 verses, he discusses that from the 12th verse to 17th verse. He discusses the jnaya. So this jnaya yatnyatva amritam ashnute, knowing this object of knowledge, one enjoys immortality. Amritatva is immortality. That means he will never die again. Tat anadimat param brahma, that beginningless supreme Brahma, na sat auchyate na asat. It cannot be said as existent or non-existent. This is another big possible confusion statement that one may understand. We will try to resolve this as we understand this verse. So this Brahma, all along we have been saying this Brahma is the only Sat, Asat, that is the only Sat, everything else is Asat, we have been saying. And this verse says it cannot be said as existent or non-existent. What does it mean? That we will have to understand. We will try to understand that. So I will tell you that which is to be known, knowing which immortality is attained. The beginningless Brahman, that immortality is the beginningless Brahman. And this Brahman is neither existent nor non-existent. All along we have said this Brahma alone is existent. Now we are, when it comes to understanding that Brahma, Krishna is saying this cannot be said to be either existent or non-existent. We'll see what that means. So I will teach you that jnana, I will teach you, which you need to understand. And I will teach you as is. I will not sugarcoat it in one way or the other. I will teach you as is. What is the benefit of understanding that? That also I am going to tell you. That understanding, benefit of understanding and what it is. Both I am going to tell you. So I will teach you well that which is to be known. That is the jnana. Now, We have already studied Kṣhetrajña. That Kṣhetrajña is renamed here as Jnana. The Jnana is what is attained by Jnana, not by karma. That is how the word Jnana is derived also from the word Jnana. That which the Jnana is focused on is Jnana. So that Jnana is attainable by Jnana and not by karma. We saw earlier a verse from the 4th chapter that Kangshantaha karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha kshipram himanashe loke siddhir bhavatu karmaja. So karma, what is born of karma, that is the benefit you got, but that is not immortality. But knowing this Jnana, not by karma, but by other means, by meditation, etc., that is going to give you the Amritattva. So you are not different from Kṣhetrajña. Arjuna is being told here by Krishna, you are not different from Kṣhetrajña, but you have superimposed the universe on the Kṣhetrajña and became a samsari, a transmigrant. What does this mean? See, we can relate to this as soon as we get up in the morning, we see the universe. The universe did not exist in our deep sleep. In the deep sleep, I was alone and I did not even know that I existed. But as soon as I get up in the morning, I superimpose the universe on my mind, and the mind starts understanding the universe. So this Krishna is saying, you are the Kṣhetrajña, that Parabrahma, but you see, superimpose the universe on this Kṣhetrajña and you became a Jivatma or a transmigrant. Now, this becoming a Jivatma or a transmigrant is only a superimposition, means it can be removed. It cannot be permanent. The permanent entity is the canvas and not the picture on it. The picture can be, you can use some detergent or something like that and remove the picture, but the canvas remains. So the canvas is the Kṣhetrajña, and the picture written on it is the Jivatma. That Jivatma can go away and Kṣhetrajña alone remains, the canvas alone remains when the picture is removed. So, but the Kṣhetrajña is the Parabrahma. This Kṣhetrajña we are talking is the Jnana, Kṣhetrajña, Jnana, one and the same. This Kṣhetrajña is the Parabrahma. He is unlimited by time, space, and object. Yeah, you know, like this is very important in the sense that unlimited by time means always exists. There is no beginning, there is no end. Space, this space, you know, like the other day there was a news item in the in one of the television news program that they have intercepted some objects. Some telescope intercepted objects sending light from 320 billion years ago. The light sent by this object 320 billion years ago has reached Earth now. Now, considering the speed of light, see how far away it is. That is a space unlimited. That where does that all that space that is covered by the 320 billion years of passage of light, there that space is pervaded by Atma. This Atma, in fact, it even goes beyond that space that we can think of. So that is the space unlimitation. And object limitation. There is a you know, if you take any object, there is a limitation in terms of size or weight or something like that. But this Kṣhetrajña is not subject to such limitation of time, space, and object. We are discussing the characteristics of the Kṣhetrajña or the Jnana. So understanding the Jnana, that which need to be known, this is what need to be known through the Jnana. The knower achieves immortality. He will not die again. What does it mean? We all die. Say at the time of death, what happens is from our body, the Sukshma Sharira leaves the body. Now, and this Sukshma Sharira goes in terms of goes in search of the next body. But for the one who has understood, who is a Jnana or a Kṣhetrajña in the real sense, no such, nothing leaves the body like that. The elements of the body disintegrate and they merge with the elements in space and in earth and everywhere. And the body just gets disposed of. The gross body gets disposed of. All the subtle entities making up the body, they all merge with the subtle elements of the universe, and nothing leaves the body. Now, what is the difference between these two cases? In the case of the Jivatma, all these elements are bonded together through what is called guna. That guna becomes the glue that keeps them together. Whereas in the case of a liberated person, he is nirguna. There is no guna in him. There is no glue to bind that, and they just fall off just like that. That's kind of trying to give an example to understand that. So this attainment of Jnana, that gives us the immortality. Now, how to understand this? Say, there is this snake that you see, but on putting light, you know that it is not a snake, it is a rope. Now, he did not have to do any karma to get rid of the snake. All he had to do is bring the light into it, and even he didn't have to do it. Somebody could throw the light, or the sun could just come out at that time. And he notices that it is not a snake, it's a rope. So knowing the reality of the rope liberated him from the fear of snake. Like that, knowing the reality of the Jnana, the Atma, I am relieved or liberated from the cycle of birth and death. In what was a rope all the time temporarily appeared as a snake only because of there was no light. Like that, what appears as Parabrahma, that alone exists, that Jnana, that alone exists, and we have superimposed the universe on that. And once we remove that superimposition, the Paramatma, the Parabrahma, stands alone. Now, this Jnana, as we said, is beginningless, which is the limitless Brahma. Now, it cannot be described as Sat existence or Asat non-existence. Now, let me give an example and then we'll go to the discussion. Now, in deep sleep, we did not know we existed or not. And if somebody should come and ask you, are you existing? You cannot be answering that question at all, because the existence of myself in deep sleep, I would not know in that state. I would know only in the later state of waking up. I was there because I have gotten back this morning, just like the way I went into sleep last night. And therefore, I should have existed in the deep sleep. That is the existence that we can relate to. But if you ask in real time, did I exist or not? No, I did not exist in real time. I did not know whether I exist or not. That's how we have to understand it. So this Jnana is of the nature of Brahma. Now, this Brahma cannot be definitely said of the nature of existence or non-existence. Now, if I become the Brahma, Parabrahma, now there is only an I. There is no I am. I am is an awareness. I is not an awareness. In the state of Parabrahma, because he has identified himself with the Brahma and not with the dualities of the universe, the question of I exist does not even arise, because there is only one entity to know. Who are you going to say I existed? If you are the only entity in that state, who are you going to say I did this or I did that? So that awareness is there, but I identity awareness is not there. That I am, yes, I am here, but I am doing this is not there. That is the way how you can understand this. So the Brahma cannot be definitely said of the nature of existence or non-existence. Now, how do we believe that it is existence? Because that is the only substratum for everything. The Upanishads have described that this Brahma is not this, not this. See, this is the important thing to understand. Upanishad has not described Brahma as this. Neti, neti, not this is how it has described it. If you describe it as Brahma is this, then the Brahma is limited. Our sense organs can only perceive something that is limited. Now, if I say Brahma as this, I have reduced Brahma into a finite entity. It is not that limitless Brahma at all. And therefore, I cannot with my sense organs say that Brahma exists or not. That's what we are leading to. So Brahma is not an object of is or is not discussion. If if we are talking from our waking experience, there is just no way we can come to a conclusion Brahma is existing or non-existing, because Brahma is beyond the sense organs. Our knowledge ability to know certain things is only through the sense organs, and since this Brahma is not an object of sense organ, we cannot conclusively say Brahma exists or not. It is not an object of intellect to say it is or it is not. Now, it is not sense perceptible, and therefore it cannot be definitely described as Sat. It has no form, no personality, no heart, does not possess any state, and these are what our sense organs can perceive. Our eyes can perceive a form, and our mind can perceive a personality based on what they talk or how they act. We can define a personality in our mind, but this Brahma, it does not possess any state like that, so it is not sense perceptible. Now you have a part which is sense perceptible. We can see a part, it exists. Now, therefore, we can say the part exists or part is not existing. That we can say because it is a limited object. Our sense objects can perceive those limited objects. Now, Brahma, on the other hand, is only limited, is only to be known through the Shruti Pramana, that is the Upanishads. It cannot be decided as is or is not through the sense organs. The Upanishad says it exists as neti, nati, not this, not this. That we have to accept. Like in the last class we discussed that at the time of what happened in our parents' marriage day, only they have to tell us. We cannot know that at all unless they tell us. Like that, the Upanishads, that are the statements of the Parabrahma, that has to be known only through the Shruti Pramana, that is the Upanishads. Now the question comes, all right, I am unable to say Brahma is existent or non-existent from my sense organs. Can I definitely say that the Brahma is non-existent? That question we have to answer. Now that question is answered by the every object in this universe needs a substratum. Without that substratum, nothing can exist. The painting cannot exist without the canvas. The canvas cannot exist without the yarn or whatever it is made of, that material it is made of. Now, where is that material coming from? That material is coming from the elements of nature. And where did the elements of nature come from? It came from the Mahat. We discussed these in one of the earlier classes or several different classes. So the elements are coming from the Mahat, and the Mahat is the Maya associated. Mahat is coming from the Maya associated with the Parameshwara, and therefore the substratum for every little thing that we see through our sense organs is the Brahma. So the Mahat universe, etc., is seen by the existence of Brahma, and without it, no entity can sustain. Without the canvas, your picture cannot exist. You cannot draw a picture in the air. So like the building cannot sustain without the foundation. We see the building, but not the foundation. Now, can we say the foundation does not exist? It cannot be said to be asat at all. Even though we don't see the foundation, we cannot say that the foundation does not exist. There is some kind of foundation that exists, we know, because it sustains so many forces of nature, and therefore we have to say that it exists, but I cannot see that. So support for the witnessed universe is this Parabrahma, Digneya, and this is of a very peculiar nature, a very wonderful nature. It appears queer because it cannot be defined at all, but that is the limitation of our sense organs. Just because our sense organs cannot know something, we cannot say that things does not exist at all. What we hear is only a certain frequencies. There is a frequency below which we cannot hear. There is a frequency above which we cannot hear. But now the science has told us that you can go on either direction to microwaves, etc., and you can hear them through processing with some additional help through mechanisms that we encounter. So this Jnaya is such an entity. Just because we cannot perceive through the sense organs, we cannot definitely say it exists or non-exist. That is what nasattan nasaduchyate. It cannot be said as sat, it cannot be said as asat. That's what that phrase describes. I hope that is clearly understood. Now, existence or non-existence are only in my mind, in my intellect. Now, the Kṣhetrajña transcends the intellect. He is beyond the intellect. So Sat and Asat are dependent on the mind. I expect something, sapekshika, and therefore an answer comes. Brahma is not dependent, but independent. Anything that is independent is, is not sapekshika. So like a sense object, it is not perceived by sense organ, and therefore cannot be classified as Sat. We are summarizing here. It has no awareness identity, so cannot be said to be Sat. Brahma cannot come here today and say, I'm here. That awareness identity is not in Brahma. It's of the nature of awareness, all right. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Jnanam, that awareness, it is of the nature of awareness, but it cannot come and say, I am here. Like if you and I are talking, say if we are 5 feet apart, the Brahma, the Atma exists between you and me in that space, 5 feet space between you and me, and it exists in my body and it exists in your body. Now, this Brahma existing between the two of us cannot say, come and say, I am aware, I'm here. It cannot say that. But whereas when I say I'm here, where did that I'm here came from? It did not obviously come from the physical body or the mind. There is that awareness in the body, the same awareness that is between you and me, that awareness is in my body and your body, and that awareness can create that identity through the mind and intellect. Without the mind and intellect, the awareness identity cannot come through, and without the body, the mind and intellect cannot exist. So only in the medium of the body, the awareness or the Parabrahma can make a statement of awareness identity, not otherwise. So the sun has no light or darkness, but the Brahma cannot be called as Asat like that. So we don't, if you go to the sun, is there no light or darkness? Nobody can say that. Sugar is sweet, but how sweet is it? You have to experience it. Without experiencing it, you cannot describe whether sugar is how sweet it is. Like that, we can, without experiencing in the medium of the body, the Brahma cannot be said to be existent or non-existent. Okay, let's learn this. Jneyam yat tat pravakshami.
Jneyam yat tat pravakshami. Jneyam yat tat pravakshami.
Yat jnatva amrutam ashnute.
Yat jnatva amrutam ashnute. Yat jnatva amrutam ashnute.
Anadimat param brahma.
Anadimat param brahma. Anadimat param brahma.
Na sat tat na asat uchyate.
Na sat tat na asat uchyate. Na sat tat na asat uchyate.
Jneyam yattat pravakshyami yajñātvāmritamashnute anādimat param brahma na sattanna saduchyate.
Kyeyam yat pravakshyami yajñātvāmritamashnuте anādimat param brahma na satna sad asat
Na
uchyate.
sattanna saduchyate.
Na sattanna saduchyate. Gyeyam yat pravakshyami yajñātvāmritamashnute anādimat param brahma na sattanna saduchyate.
10, 11 and 12. Mai chananya yogena bhaktiravyabicharini vivikta desha sevitvam aratirjana samsadi adhyatma jnana nityatvam tatvajnanartha darshanam etagñanamiti proktam ajnanam yadatonyata.
Gyeyam yat pravakshyami yajñātvāmritamashnute anādimat param brahma na satna saduchyate.
Sarvata panipadam tat sarvato kshiro mukham sarvata shrutimaloke sarvamavritya tishtati. That jnaya, that sarvataha panipadam, that jnaya has hands and legs everywhere. Sarvataha akshishiro mukham has eyes, heads and faces everywhere. Sarvataha shrutimat, it has ears everywhere. Loke sarvam avriti tishtati, because it stands pervading everything in the universe. Now there is this universe which pervades this jnaya that pervades everywhere, where the universe exists, and therefore this universe, this jnaya is operating through me and you. I have eyes and nose and ears and legs and face and etc., hands, etc. And it is as if, because it is supporting me, it can claim that it has hands, legs, ears, nose, eyes, etc., etc. That's the intended meaning. It's not that there is one body with hands and legs everywhere. It is exhibiting, this jnaya is exhibiting or displaying through me and you, and me and you, we have these various organs, and that jnaya has hands and legs everywhere. So it is described as having hands and legs everywhere, in everyone. The jnaya has hands and legs through everyone he manifests, and therefore that statement, Aneka Bahu Dharavaktra Netram, this is what Arjuna describes in the 11th chapter. He describes the cosmic form of Krishna having many shoulders, faces, etc. This is an expression of that cosmic form of the Paramatma, having Sarvataha Panipadam Tate, having bodies, eyes and ears and nose, etc. everywhere. Now, the presence of Kṣhetrajña is discerned through the presence of the adjuncts, like the instruments. Without these instruments, without my talking, I cannot say that the Kṣhetrajña exists. Without my seeing, I cannot say the Kṣhetrajña exists, because the Kṣhetrajña is there in me, you, and in a rock. But you and I have the mind in between the physical body and the Atma. And it is the mind that can interpret the presence of this Kṣhetrajña through thinking. It is the speech can interpret Kṣhetrajña through the tongue, etc., like that. So these are the instruments. The instruments, mind, tongue, ears, and eyes. These are the instruments. Only by the action of these instruments can you understand the existence of this Kṣhetrajña. Otherwise, without that, you cannot even exist, determine the Kṣhetrajña exists or not. So the Kṣhetrajña can be understood to be manifested through the transaction process. Now, this Kṣhetrajña is the knower of everything, and he is the support for the existence of the instruments also. The instruments, see, both the physical instrument as well as the function it carries, that is dependent on the Kṣhetrajña. How we we saw earlier in the 7th chapter, Paramatma has two natures, Para Prakriti and Apara Prakriti. The Apara Prakriti is what we discuss as the inert material, and the Para Prakriti is the one Edam Dharate Jagat, that supports the living entity, and therefore the Kṣhetrajña is knower of everything, and he is the support for the existence of the instruments also. He is the support for not only existence of the instruments, for the functioning of the instruments also. That is how he comes to be understood. So like this, all Kṣhetras are heads, hands, etc. And the Kṣhetrajña is the same in all. That is what Kṣhetrajñam Chapimam with the Sarva Kṣhetreshu Bharata. So this Kṣhetrajña is one and only one to be known. It has this one Kṣhetrajña has many hands and feet, etc. So the Atma is called the Kṣhetrajña in the context of a physical entity like a body. The Atma is called the Kṣhetrajña because of the presence of the adjunct itself, the Kṣhetra. Without the Kṣhetra, the presence of the Atma or the Kṣhetrajña cannot be understood. Now the sun is called the illuminator in seeing the objects of light. If it is totally dark, I cannot see what is there. But we need the presence of the sun or some other light source to see the object. Like that, to see the Kṣhetrajña, you need the adjunct, that is the Kṣhetra. So in this sense, the Atma is called the Kṣhetrajña from the Kṣhetra perspective. Without the Kṣhetra perspective, it is the Atma. But with the Kṣhetra perspective, it is the Kṣhetrajña. So the Kṣhetra, as we know, appears differently. Hands, legs, different forms of the Kṣhetra. It is composed of varieties of instruments, eyes, ears, nose, etc. And the Kṣhetrajña also appears as a group. In each one of us, there is a separate Kṣhetrajña that may be the common thinking, but that cannot be. In this sense, Kṣhetrajña is described as unable to be described as existent or non-existent. This is another example supporting the previous verse. So it appears that there is many Kṣhetrajñas, but there is only one Kṣhetrajña, and this is beyond our ability to know through the sense organs, and therefore it is this Kṣhetrajña cannot be described as existent or non-existent. So in this way, we are unable to classify Kṣhetrajña as Sat or Asat. And, whenever we have to describe the Kṣhetrajña, it has to be only with respect to adjuncts. That is what Sanskrit word called Adhyaropa. You superimpose something on the Atma, and that something describes the Atma as Kṣhetrajña. That is the understanding of the Kṣhetrajña. Therefore, the Kṣhetrajña is to be known properly. The Kṣhetrajña comes into picture only in the medium of the Kṣhetra. And so what is this Kṣhetrajña doing in the Kṣhetra? That is need to be understood. So in order to establish this existence of Jnana, we need the adjuncts, the body and Kṣhetra, etc. And the Jnana Dharma is assumed. The hands and the foot everywhere is described. The Jnana Dharma operates through the hands and the feet, performing various functions and various activities. And the presence of the various activities and functions refers to the presence of the Jnana. So in Sanskrit, in Vedanta, this Adhyaropa Apavada is used to show the presence of Atma, and hence the hands and the feet, etc. Without the Adhyaropa, there is no way to identify Atma. As I said, if you and I are standing 5 feet apart, the Atma there cannot be seen, but you superimpose the body there, and the body does certain functions which is not present in the Atma between you and me. And the body is inert, it cannot function by itself, and therefore I am able to see the presence of the Atma or the Kṣhetrajña in the body, and that is how we understand the presence of the Atma, that is called Adhyaropa. And then Jnani understands this is a superimposition, Adhyaropa, and he removes that superimposition, that is called Apavada. Removing the superimposition is the Apavada. So this Adhyaropa Apavada is used to show the existence or the presence of Atma or the Kṣhetrajña through the functioning of the body. So the there are 5 verses in this 4-5 verses in this series here. 4 of them describe the Tatastha Lakshana and 1 is Swarupa Lakshana. Like in the now to understand what is this Tatastha Lakshana and Swarupa Lakshana, Parabrahma appearing as this universe is the Tatastha Lakshana. And the Parabrahma appearing without the presence, without knowing the universe is Swarupa Lakshana. That is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Now to give this, explain this, the Upanishads give a story. You are going in search of a house. And then somebody, it's a new town you are entering. And then they say, okay, you see, there is this house. It is behind this tree, and particularly if the tree is big, there is a crow sitting on the tree. Just directly behind that is the house. Now, this house has a red tile on the roof. That is the house that you are seeking for. Now, the Tatastha Lakshana, that the tree, the crow, and behind the crow, those are the 3 Tatastha Lakshana that helps you to go and see that particular house. But when you get to that, when you get beyond the tree, you go up to the tree and go see the crow sitting there, and at that point, the crow may even have it may have flown away. But the Tatastha Lakshana has gone. But still, you are able to see the house with the red roof. The house with the red roof is the Swarupa Lakshana. That is the inherent characteristic of the house, whereas the tree, the crow are pointing instructions, pointing characteristics. It helps you to reach up to the house there. Like that, all these bodies that we go through, we experience is Tatastha Lakshana. And from that, we have to infer the presence of the Swarupa Lakshana, the Paramatma or the Atma. That is how this Kṣhetrajña can be understood. So every object in the universe is a pointer to the Paramatma, and the Paramatma is called the Kṣhetrajña, as he pervades everywhere, but he manifests through certain Tatastha Lakshana or the physical bodies or the Kṣhetra. So let me do one thing. Let me stop here today. I will continue this in the next class. I don't have time to finish this. The reason is this. I don't have internet service today. You can stop the recording, Madhvanji. So this I don't have internet service in my home today. I come to my daughter's house to do the class. And the service people are expected to be in my home at 1 o'clock. So I have to go meet them there.